The sun barely kissed the horizon when Austin Stevens felt his heart hammering against his ribs. Sweat already beaded on his forehead, not from the heat, but from something else, something primal, fear. In the Namibian desert, surrounded by endless sand and silence, he was about to face the one creature that haunted even his dreams, the black mamba, Africa's kiss of death. And this time, something felt different, terribly different. 3 meters of pure venom and rage coiled just ahead, its head raised, eyes locked. And instead of fleeing like every other mamba he'd ever encountered, this one stood its ground, watching, waiting, ready to strike. Austin's hand trembled as he gripped his snake stick. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and everything he'd built, everyone he loved, every sunrise he'd never see again would vanish in 5 minutes. That's all it takes. 5 minutes from bite to blackout. 5 minutes from life to death. This is the story of a man who spent his entire life dancing with death. And the morning death finally said, "Let's see if you're really as good as they say." Austin Stevens wasn't born fearless. Nobody is. But somewhere between his 12th birthday and his first rattlesnake, fear became fuel. Born on May 19, 1950, in Pretoria, South Africa, young Austin was just another kid until the day he held his first snake. The texture, the power, the electricity of pure danger in his small hands. That moment rewired his brain forever. While other kids played soccer and collected comic books, Austin built a collection that would make most adults run screaming. Venomous cobras, puff adders, boom slang. By the time he graduated high school, his bedroom was basically a reptile house. His parents probably aged 10 years for every year he spent there. But Austin couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. The snakes whispered to him in a language only he understood. He didn't just want to catch snakes. He wanted to understand them, to photograph them, to show the world that these misunderstood creatures weren't monsters. They were survivors, artists of evolution, masters of their craft. So he became a herpetologist, a wildlife photographer, and eventually something the world had never quite seen before. The Snakemaster. His television series, Austin Stevens' Snakemaster, launched on Animal Planet in 2004 and turned him into a global icon. Millions watched this lean, sun-weathered man with piercing eyes crawl through jungles, wade through swamps, and handle snakes that could kill an elephant. He made it look easy, graceful even, but behind every smooth capture was decades of knowledge, lightning-fast reflexes, and an acceptance of a simple truth. One day, his luck might run out. Austin married Amy, an Australian python keeper, in 2007. They built a life together in Australia, surrounded by the creatures they loved. But even love couldn't shield him from the toll his career was taking. In 2016, at 66 years old, Austin was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. His hands, the same hands that had caught thousands of deadly snakes, began to betray him with tremors. The disease was slow, but it was coming. Time, the one predator even Austin Stevens couldn't outrun, was closing in. But back in the early 2000s, before the diagnosis, before the tremors, Austin was at the peak of his powers. He was planning something ambitious, something insane. A journey across multiple continents to face 7 of the world's deadliest snakes. 3 months, 3,000 miles, 7 strikes away from death. He called it 7 Deadly Strikes, and the black mamba was at the very top of his list. If snakes had a hall of fame for killers, the black mamba would be in the center, spotlighted, crowned. This isn't the biggest snake, not even close, but size means nothing when you're the fastest, the most aggressive, and one of the most venomous serpents on planet Earth. The black mamba doesn't just kill, it executes. Let's talk numbers. A fully grown black mamba stretches up to 4 meters long. That's over 13 feet of muscle and venom. But here's what separates it from other snakes. It can lift half its body off the ground. Imagine a 4-meter mamba rising 2 meters high, eye level with a grown man, fangs bared, ready to bite your face. That's not a snake, that's a nightmare with scales. Speed? They clock in at 8 miles per hour. That might not sound like much until you realize most humans sprint at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And that's at their peak, on flat ground, with adrenaline pumping. A black mamba moves at 8 miles per hour through brush, sand, rocks, uphill. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't slow down, and if it wants you, it will catch you. The name Black Mamba is a cruel joke. The snake isn't black. It's gray, sometimes olive, sometimes brown. The black comes from inside its mouth. When threatened, it opens wide, revealing a pitch-black interior. It's the last thing many people see. A gaping black void. And then the fangs. Those fangs sit far forward in the mouth, perfectly positioned for deep, efficient strikes. One bite injects between 100 to 120 milligrams of venom. You only need 10 to 15 milligrams to die. That means one bite delivers enough venom to kill 10 people, maybe more. And the black mamba doesn't bite once. It strikes multiple times, fast, accurate, relentless. The venom is a neurotoxin. It doesn't burn or destroy tissue like a viper's venom. It's more elegant, more efficient. It shuts down your nervous system. First you feel tingling in your lips and fingers, then blurred vision. Then your muscles stop responding. Your lungs forget how to breathe. Your heart forgets how to beat. From bite to death, untreated, you have about 5 minutes. Maybe 7 if you're lucky. Maybe 3 if you're not. In the wild, black mambas are shy. They'd rather flee than fight. But corner one, surprise one, or just be in the wrong place at the wrong time and it transforms. It rises. It spreads a narrow hood. It hisses, and then it comes for you. Multiple strikes, each one a death sentence. Austin Stevens knew all of this. He'd studied it, memorized it, respected it. But knowing and experiencing are two very different things. The 7 Deadly Strikes expedition wasn't a vacation. It was a pilgrimage to the altar of danger. Austin planned to meet 7 of the deadliest snakes in the world, one by one, and film the encounters. Not from a distance, not behind glass. Up close, personal. The way only Austin Stevens would. 3 months on the road, 3,000 miles across deserts, jungles, and swamps. He'd already been bitten twice by the time he reached Namibia. Twice. Most people would call that a sign, a warning from the universe. Austin called it Tuesday. The bites weren't from the 7 deadly on his list, but they reminded him of a simple fact. Every snake is dangerous. Every encounter is a gamble. And the house always has an edge. His crew was small. A cameraman, a sound guy, a driver. They trusted Austin completely, but even they saw the weight on his shoulders as they entered the Namibian desert. The black mamba was next, and Austin admitted something he rarely said out loud. "I'm nervous," he told the camera. "I'm a bit ashamed to say it, but I'm nervous of black mambas. Everybody's nervous of black mambas." Coming from a man who'd handled king cobras, rattlesnakes, and death adders without flinching, that statement hit different. This wasn't bravado. This was honesty. The black mamba scared him, and that made what he was about to do even more insane. The plan was simple but precise. Track the mamba early morning before the sun heated the desert. Cold-blooded reptiles are slower when they're cool. It was his only advantage. A small window of time when the snake's reflexes would be just a fraction slower. Just enough for Austin to get close. Just enough to maybe survive. They drove through the desert in the pre-dawn darkness, headlights cutting through the cold air. Austin was quiet, focused, going over every scenario in his head. What if the mamba was already warm? What if it was aggressive? What if it didn't flee? His mind played out every possibility, every angle, every mistake that could cost him his life. And then, as the first light broke over the sand dunes, they found it. The snake was exactly where it shouldn't be. Out in the open. No burrow nearby, no rocks to hide under, just a 3-meter black mamba coiled loosely on the sand, head raised, watching them approach. Austin's breath caught in his throat. This was a young male, still growing. It could add another meter to its length in a year or two. But even now, it was a perfect killing machine. "Look at that," Austin whispered to the camera. "He's not running." That was the first red flag. Black mambas are known for fleeing. They don't stick around for confrontations. They vanish like smoke. But this one stayed, watching, calculating. Its tongue flicked in and out, tasting the air, tasting Austin's fear. Austin moved slowly, snake stick in hand. The stick was his lifeline, 4 feet of wood and rubber that could pin the snake's head if things went wrong. He stepped closer. The Mamba shifted, its body rippling with muscle, still not fleeing. Austin's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. 5 meters away, 4 meters, 3. The snake rose higher. Not in full defense posture yet, but close. Its black mouth stayed closed, but Austin knew it could open in a fraction of a second. He narrated softly to the camera, trying to keep his voice steady. "This guy is watching me. He's going to kill me if I get too close. But he knows I'm not a danger if I stay my distance. 2 meters. That was the strike range. If Austin crossed that invisible line, the Mamba could hit him before he could react. Fangs in his arm, fangs in his chest, fangs in his face. Game over. But Austin needed the shot, the footage, the proof that even the deadliest snakes could be observed, respected, and understood. So he took one more step. The Mamba's head tracked him like a laser sight. Its eyes, cold and unblinking, never left Austin's face. And then, something happened that Austin had never seen before. The snake opened its mouth, just slightly. Not a full threat display, just a warning. And inside that mouth, pitch black, Austin saw the fangs. Long, curved, wet with venom. "Look at those fangs," Austin breathed. "Positioned so far forward. He only needs a touch, just a touch. Both fangs in, no problem at all." Then it happened. The Mamba shifted its weight, and a single drop of venom fell from its fang. Clear, thick. It hit the sand and vanished. Austin's stomach clenched. That drop could kill him, that one drop, and the snake had hundreds more. He had to make a choice. Push further for the perfect shot or back off and live to film another day. His instinct screamed at him. This snake was different. This snake wasn't following the script, but Austin Stevens didn't become the Snakemaster by playing it safe. He adjusted his grip on the stick, steadied his breathing, and moved into position for the photograph. The Mamba coiled tighter. Its head rose higher. Austin could see every scale, every muscle, every ounce of tension in its body. This was it. The moment. Life or death balanced on a knife's edge. And then Austin did something that seemed impossible. He relaxed. Not his body, but his energy. He softened his stance, slowed his breathing, became less of a threat. The Mamba sensed it. Its tongue flicked again. The tension eased just a fraction, just enough. Austin snapped the photo. The shutter clicked. The image captured. A 3-meter black Mamba, head raised, mouth slightly open, fangs visible, framed by the golden light of the Namibian dawn. It was perfect. It was beautiful. It was deadly. And then Austin slowly, carefully, backed away. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. The Mamba watched but didn't follow. It had made its point. Austin had made his. Mutual respect between predator and prey, or maybe between 2 predators who understood each other too well. Back at camp, Austin sat with his notes and his racing heart. He had a system. A scoring system for every deadly snake he encountered. Speed, venom potency, and striking ability. Each category out of 10. Maximum score, 30. The perfect killer. He'd faced gaboon vipers, king cobras, and saw-scaled vipers. None of them scored above 25. But the black Mamba? Speed, 9 out of 10. Nothing on land slithers faster. The myths about it outrunning horses were exaggerated, but outrunning a human? Absolutely. Especially in terrain it knew. Venom potency, 10 out of 10. No debate, no contest. The neurotoxin was fast, deadly, and delivered in massive doses. 1 bite. Multiple deaths worth of venom. Striking ability, 10 out of 10. The striking range, the accuracy, the speed of the strike itself. The black Mamba was a heat-seeking missile with fangs. Total, 29 out of 30. The highest score Austin had ever given. The closest thing to a perfect killer he'd ever faced. And he'd stood 2 meters away from it. He'd stared into its black mouth. He'd seen its venom drip onto the sand, and he'd walked away. But walking away didn't mean the danger was over. That night, lying in his tent, Austin replayed every second in his mind. The snake that didn't run, the drop of venom, the feeling of time slowing down. He'd been lucky. He knew it. The snake could have struck, could have ended him. But it chose not to. Or maybe it was waiting. Maybe it was testing him. Maybe next time, there wouldn't be a choice. Sleep didn't come easy. It never did after a black mamba encounter. Years later, long after the 7 Deadly Strikes expedition ended, Austin would look back on that morning in Namibia as one of the defining moments of his life. Not because he survived, he'd survived hundreds of encounters, but because he'd felt something different that day. Mortality, the weight of it, the reality that one day, maybe one snake, would be the last. In 2016, the diagnosis came: Parkinson's disease. A slow thief stealing his coordination, his steadiness, his control. The very things that kept him alive in the wild. The tremors started small, a shake in his left hand, a stumble in his step. But Austin knew where it was headed. He'd seen it before, and he knew that his days of handling deadly snakes were numbered. By 2023, at 73 years old, Austin had surgery to remove skin cancer from his brow. Decades under the brutal sun, chasing snakes through deserts and savannas, had left their mark. But he survived that too. Because that's what Austin Stevens did. He survived. But here's the thing about survival. It's not just about luck. It's about respect. Austin never underestimated a snake. He never assumed he was faster or smarter. He knew that every single encounter was a negotiation between two creatures trying to stay alive. And most of the time, if you gave the snake an out, it took it. The black mamba in Namibia could have killed him easily, but it didn't. Because Austin gave it space. He gave it respect. And in return, it gave him his life. Today, Austin Stevens is 75 years old. He lives in Australia with his wife Amy, surrounded by the reptiles they both love. He doesn't handle black mambas anymore. His hands won't allow it, but his legacy does. Millions of people around the world grew up watching the Snakemaster. They learned that snakes aren't evil. They're not monsters, they're just trying to survive, same as us. And sometimes, if you're respectful, if you're careful, if you're lucky, you can stand 2 meters away from death and walk away with nothing but a story. The footage of that Namibian encounter has been viewed millions of times. People watch it and wonder how Austin stayed so calm, how he didn't run, how he didn't panic. But anyone who knew Austin understood. He wasn't calm because he was fearless. He was calm because he was terrified. And he knew that fear, if controlled, could keep him alive. But panic would kill him faster than any venom. There's a moment in the footage that most people miss. Right after Austin backs away from the mamba, right after the danger passes, the camera catches his face. And for just a second, you can see it. Relief, gratitude, the realization that he'd just been given another day, another sunrise, another chance to tell the world about these misunderstood creatures. Austin Stevens never set out to be a daredevil. He wasn't trying to prove he was tougher than nature. He was trying to prove that nature wasn't the enemy. That with knowledge, respect, and a little bit of courage, we could coexist with even the deadliest creatures on Earth. The black mamba didn't need to be exterminated. It needed to be understood. And Austin dedicated his life to that understanding. But understanding comes with a price. 2 bites during that expedition. Countless close calls over a 50-year career, Parkinson's disease, skin cancer, a body worn down by decades of danger. Some people might say it wasn't worth it, that no amount of footage or education is worth risking your life. But Austin would disagree, because every time someone watches his videos and decides not to kill a snake in their garden, that's a life saved. Every time a kid watches the Snakemaster and decides to become a herpetologist instead of fearing reptiles, that's a legacy. That's worth it. The black mamba that morning in Namibia is probably still out there. Maybe it's 4 meters long now. Maybe it's the king of its territory. Maybe it remembers the strange human who stood too close but never attacked. Or maybe it's just a snake, living its life, hunting rats and birds, avoiding danger when it can. Either way, it gave Austin Stevens a gift that morning. It gave him a story, a lesson, a reminder that we're all just trying to survive in this world. Some of us with fangs, some of us with cameras, but all of us, every single one, is just one moment away from the end. And that's what makes life worth living. That edge, that respect for the fragility of it all. Austin Stevens stood on that edge more than most, and every time he walked away grateful. Not because he was special, but because the snake, the beautiful, deadly, misunderstood snake, led him. That's the real story. Not about a man who almost died, but about a man who lived, fully, fearlessly, with respect for the creatures that could end him in 5 minutes. And in return, those creatures taught him the most important lesson of all. Life is precious, every second of it, even the terrifying ones, especially the terrifying ones. Austin Stevens, the Snakemaster, stared death in the face that morning in Namibia. And death blinked first, not because Austin was stronger, but because he understood the rules. Respect the snake. Give it space. And maybe, just maybe, you'll live to tell the story. And what a story it is.